Rappers in the game have the talent to string up tight lines, write witty wordplay, and drop effortless bars. But with the genre being closely affiliated with criminal activity, a couple of rappers have inevitably found themselves behind bars. And these are some of the rappers with the absolute longest prison sentences. Tay-K. 23-year-old Timon Trayvon McIntyre, professionally known as Tay-K, is a rapper and convicted lawbreaker who grew up in the streets of Arlington, Texas. The Texas rapper was originally born in Long Beach, California, but eventually moved to Arlington, Texas after his father was released from prison. His father wanted to raise his kids in a healthier environment, but the move to Texas did not seem to keep Tay-K out of trouble. In fact, it placed him into more trouble. Tay-K is best known for his hit track The Race, which is ironically part of the reason he was sentenced to jail. He is also known for his involvement in the prominent court case where he was sentenced to 55 years in prison for the killing of 21-year-old Ethan Walker. He started a rap group called the Daytona Boys with fellow rappers Pimpy Z and Santana Sage, and he started releasing music for his underground fans on SoundCloud in 2014. Tay-K's first encounter with the law began in 2015. He was a witness to the murder of 20-year-old Sarah Muchlichner, a film student at the University of North Texas. Tay-K was not the shooter, but he was in the vehicle when his friend and fellow Daytona Boys crew member Eric Jamal Johnson, aka Santana Sage, allegedly shot the victim. Santana Sage confessed to the crime and was sentenced to 44 years. Tay-K was a minor when this hit went down, specifically 15 years old. Witnessing his friend and band member shoot an innocent woman dead in the head in a drive-by shooting would be the catalyst to get him into a lot more trouble. His own personal troubles began in July of 2016, when he and 6 other people were arrested in connection with the killing of 21-year-old Ethan Walker in a burglary that occurred at the house of one Zachary Bealite in the 1500 block of Aspen Court of Mansfield, Texas. Tay-K and 6 other perpetrators planned to rob Bealite and Walker of the drugs they presumed were in the house. The pair of females in the crew seduced Walker and Bealite, and one of the 2 women unlocked the door and the gunman proceeded to rob them both, which led to the fatal confrontation and the death of Walker. Tay-K was arrested in connection with the murder, and he was placed on house arrest in January 2017. 2 months into his house arrest, he cut off his ankle monitor and escaped to Elizabeth, New Jersey, where he released the hit song The Race that made him famous, or infamous. Tay-K was recaptured by U.S. Marshals that same day he released the song. He was brought back to stand trial for the murder of Ethan Walker, as well as getting further accused of 2 serious crimes committed while on the run: the murder of 23-year-old Mark Saldivar following an altercation in San Antonio, Texas, and the robbery and beating of 65-year-old Only Pete in Arlington, Texas. Tay-K's trial began on January 15th for the killing of Ethan Walker. He pled guilty to 2 counts of aggravated robbery, but was also found guilty of murder and another count of aggravated robbery. He was sentenced to 55 years for the murder charge, 30 years for the aggravated robbery counts, and 2 13-year sentences for the remaining 2 counts of aggravated robbery. They will all be served concurrently, and he will be eligible for parole after serving 28 years when he's 47 years old. Big Lurch. Next on this list is Big Lurch. Big Lurch could have been a certified hip-hop great, considering he was one of the pioneers of the horrorcore or death rap subgenre of music. The Texas rapper towered physically over his contemporaries at a stunning height of 6'7". For someone who was destined for the top, drugs, addiction, and the price of fame got in the way, leading to the most violent and gruesome crime the rap community has ever seen. Stay tuned. Born Antron Singleton on September 15, 1967, Big Lurch grew up in Dallas, Texas, where he had an innate gift for writing poetry at the tender age of 7. He started performing professionally when he was about 15. While many rappers on the scene at the time were writing about sex, drugs, and provocative gang life, Big Lurch preferred to rap about things like serial killers, vampires, and even cannibalism. Such lyrics include Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jeffrey Dahmer, Charles Manson, and all your friends. I'm finna school ya, cause murder's a hobby. I'm like a vampire, fresh meat, I can't pass it. These were the lyrics or themes that inevitably culminated his downfall. His first release was with the rap group Cosmic Slopshop, which featured fellow horrorcore pioneer Ricardo Rick Rock Thomas. Their only album, The Family, was released in 1998 and produced a minor hit track titled Sinful. The first roadblock on his path to superstardom came in the form of a near-fatal accident. In 2000, Big Lurch was driving home from his 24th birthday party when he was hit by a drunk driver. He suffered catastrophic injuries, which included a broken neck. To take the edge off the pain, he was prescribed a cocktail of medications, but none proved as efficacious as PCP. Apart from soothing pain, PCP, or phencyclidine, has additional side effects, especially vivid hallucinations, which resulted in increasingly gruesome lyrical content. iHeartRadio host Jack Brennan said the following about Big Big Lurch. He stayed high for weeks, not eating, getting more and more delusional, until that fateful day he thought the devil was inside his roommate's stomach. On this faithful April night in 2002, Big Lurch was high on PCP when he attacked a woman by the name of Tanisha Yasace in the apartment shared with her and her boyfriend in Los Angeles, California. During the attack, he broke the woman's neck and jaw and stabbed her. Her chest had been torn open and a 3-inch blade was found broken off in her scapula. He pulled out her right lung and ate it. Yasace's autopsy confirmed the alleged cannibalism, with teeth marks were revealed on her face and lungs. A medical examination of Lurch while in custody resulted in bits of the woman's flesh being found in his stomach. The defense argued that Big Lurch was in a psychotic state due to his use of PCP the night of the murder. The court, however, ruled that his intoxication and claimed insanity were not sufficient reasons for committing the crime. In June 2003, Big Lurch was found guilty of first-degree murder, torture, and aggravated mayhem. He was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Kodak Black. Bill Kahan Capri, born Desan Octave, better known by his stage name Kodak Black, is a rapper from Pompano Beach, Florida. Kodak is a popular artist known for Billboard hits like Tunnel Vision and ZZ, as well as his extended list of legal woes. Kodak was raised by a single Haitian immigrant mother in Pompano Beach. Kodak started getting involved in rap and poetry in elementary school and would go to a local trap house after school to record music. Right from his formative years, Kodak Black was already trending on the wrong side of the law. He often participated in brawls as well as breaking and entering with his friends. In the 5th grade, he was expedited from school for fighting and was arrested for car theft while in middle school. About his fostering, he said that he was given 2 options: to sell drugs with a gun on his hip or rap. Turns out, he ended up doing both. In April and May of 2016, Kodak Black was arrested twice in Florida, once in Hallandale Beach and the other in Broward County. He was charged with possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, possession of marijuana, fleeing from officers, as well as armed robbery and false imprisonment. In September of 2016, 19-year-old Kodak Black pleaded no contest to 2 misdemeanor drug charges and was sentenced to 4 months in jail, while also being suspended from driving for 1 year. In the years that followed, he still had minor run-ins with the law, but everything culminated into one big bust in 2019. On the 17th of April 2019, while trying to re-enter the United States from Canada, Kodak Black was arrested by Customs and Border Protection after marijuana and a firearm was found in his car. He was charged with 3rd-degree criminal possession of a weapon and unlawful possession of marijuana. Due to the arrest, a concert in Boston and Connecticut were canceled. Bail was set at either $40,000 or $20,000, and he was released the next day, but it didn't end there. A few weeks after being arrested at the U.S. border, Kodak Black was dragged in again on state and federal firearms charges ahead of a Rolling Loud performance in May of 2019. He later admitted that he lied on background checks while buying guns in 2 different instances, as well as falsifying government documents to purchase them. Both guns were later discovered at crime scenes, with one having Kodak Black's fingerprints on it in an incident where it was allegedly used to shoot another rapper. On March 11, 2020, Kodak Black pleaded guilty to that firearms possession case he was charged with after being detained at the Canadian-American border. The court considered between 2 and 7 years in prison, which would run simultaneously with his 46-month sentencing for lying on federal paperwork. He was sentenced to 46 months in prison, but he spent just 611 days in prison until former President Donald Trump pardoned him in January 2021. However, Kodak Black has a pending case from 2016 where a female victim accused Kodak of sexually assaulting her in a hotel room after a concert in Florence, South Carolina. He was posted bond for this charge and released at the time, but is yet to stand trial for the incident due to the legal incidents he's constantly facing. If found guilty, Kodak Black faces up to 30 years in prison. BG. Christopher Noel Dorsey, better known by his stage name BG, an acronym for Baby Gangsta, is an American rapper from New Orleans, Louisiana. In 1994, he began his career in the rap game at the age of 13 when he signed with Birdman's Cash Money Records. BG, alongside fellow rappers Lil Wayne, Juvenile, and Turk, collectively formed the group The Hot Boys in 1997. The group released their debut album, Get It How You Live, the same year to local success, selling 400,000 copies. They followed up 2 years later with the platinum-certified Guerrilla Warfare, the group's most commercially successful album to date, selling 142,000 copies in its first week and debuting at number 5 on the Billboard 200. The group disbanded in 2001 when Juvenile, BG, and Turk left Cash Money, citing financial mismanagement, leaving Lil Wayne as the only original member assigned to the label. Throughout his life, he battled with heroin, abusing it as well as selling it. This started when he was 12 years old and his father was shot dead in an attempted robbery. He then began selling heroin and hanging out on corners with drug fiends. He started rapping in middle school, and in 1993, he eventually met met with Birdman, who took BG in and signed him to Cash Money Records. 2 years later, he dropped out of high school and began using heroin, but still focused on making music. In 2009, a routine traffic stop and search in New Orleans led to cops finding 3 guns, 2 of which, as well as the car, a Chevrolet Tahoe, were all stolen. With BG being a convicted felon at the time, mandatory prison was guaranteed. When the officers found out that one of his associates in the car confessed to owning the guns at BG's request, he was charged with witness tampering and was booked into the Orleans Parish Jail. On February 11, 2010, he appeared in the court of law and entered a not guilty plea. The former Cash Money rapper was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison for gun possession and witness tampering. BG filed his first motion in February 2022, outlining health issues that can make him susceptible to the COVID-19 disease. However, the judge denied the motion, asking for his disease, stating, "He has not presented compelling and extraordinary reasons for his compassionate release and should therefore stay in federal prison until the end of his sentence in 2024. 6ix9ine. Up next is the controversial rapper and public persona 6ix9ine, or Tekashi 6ix9ine. He is publicly known as the snitch and the rat in the hip-hop world. Let's find out how he got that name. 6ix9ine was born Daniel Hernandez and raised in Bushwick, Brooklyn, New York City, to Mexican and Puerto Rican parents. 6ix9ine hit the limelight in 2017 after the release of his debut single, Gummo. He subsequently released the mixtape Day 6ix9ine, which spawned a lot of singles on the Billboard. Before achieving superstardom and eventually becoming a felon, he had a rocky childhood, which might have set him up on his current path. As a child, 6ix9ine's mother told him his father was dead, but he did not know his father was actually alive until he was 9 years old and only had a brief relationship with him. His father battled with heroin addiction and was in prison for 5 years for selling it. 6ix9ine's stepfather was murdered in cold blood just steps away from the family home in 2010. Emotionally and mentally affected by the murder of his stepfather, 6ix9ine would not shower or eat to the point where he lost a ton of weight. He was given treatment and was admitted for depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. He also started to act out due to his stepfather's death and was eventually expelled from school in the 8th grade for bad behavior. In 2015, 19-year-old 6ix9ine pleaded guilty to a felony count of use of a child in a sexual performance, just narrowly avoiding jail time, but receiving a 4-year probation period and a 1,000-hour community service order. In 2018, 6ix9ine, his former manager, Kefano Shotty Jordan, as well as 3 other associates were arrested. He was charged with federal RICO and firearms charges, including conspiracy to murder and armed robbery, and faced up to life in prison for being part of the 9 Trey Gangsters, a violent set of a popular gang, Bloods. 3 months later, 6ix9ine pled guilty to 9 charges. He was supposed to be sentenced on January 24, 2020, and faced possible mandatory imprisonment for 47 years, but 6ix9ine did not want to do the time. On February 16th, a plea deal document revealed that the superstar rapper could avoid jail time in exchange for his testimony against fellow gang members in the investigations. Weighing his options, he decided to snitch and rat out his associates. On December 18, 2019, 6ix9ine was given a sentence of 2 years after testifying against the 9 Trey gang. The judge gave 6ix9ine credit for helping prosecutors send several violent gang members to prison, but the internet and the rap scene flamed him and memed him for his decision to be a snitch. 6ix9ine was sentenced to 2 years in prison and 5 years of supervised release, including the time he already served. Once the COVID-19 pandemic ramped up, 6ix9ine was released on house arrest due to the health concerns surrounding his asthma. He was ultimately free on supervised release in 2020. YNW Melly. Jamel Maurice Demons is a 23-year-old Floridian rapper who's known professionally by his stage name YNW Melly. Melly was born and grew up in Griffith, Florida. His mother gave birth to him at the age of 14 when she was in 9th grade and struggled financially to pay rent and provide other needs. Just like 6ix9ine in the previous entry, Melly did not know who his father was. Melly also joined the popular Bloods gang at a very young age. His legal troubles all started in October 2015 when he was charged with firing a gun at a crowd near Vero Beach High School. According to reports, Melly fired the weapon with the intention of killing 3 students of the high school and was essentially sentenced to around 1 year in Florida jail for charges of aggravated battery, discharging a firearm while in public, and 2 counts of aggravated assault. It was at the Florida jail where he apparently had time to write Murder on My Mind, the infamous song that became a viral hit while he was behind bars. When he was released, he acted as if nothing happened and he had never been arrested. Like a moth to a flame, he went back to his life of crime. Melly was arrested on June 30th, 2018 for possession of marijuana, possession of weapons or ammunition by a convicted felon, and drug paraphernalia. He was arrested again 6 months later in the same place for possession of marijuana. The final straw with the law came on the 26th of October 2018 when his fellow crew members, Anthony Williams, aka YNW Sack Chaser, and Christopher Thomas Jr., aka YNW Juvie, were shot and killed in what looked like a drive-by shooting. YNW Melly later turned himself in by posting a picture of his late friends on Instagram stating that he would miss them terribly now that they're gone. He said, "No, I did not get locked up in Washington, but I'm turning myself in today. A couple of months ago, I lost 2 brothers by violence, and now the system wants to find justice. Unfortunately, a lot of rumors and lies are being said, but no worries, God is with me, and my brother at YNW.Bortland. And we want y'all to remember it's YNW family. I love you." A day before Valentine's Day 2019, Melly was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in connection with their death, according to a statement by the police department. Melly had fatally shot his friends in cold blood, and authorities purport that he staged the crime to resemble a drive-by shooting. The forensic evidence against Melly was so strong that he was refused bail, and a few months later, the state of Florida went on to file a notice to seek the death penalty against him. While he is yet to be sentenced, it looks as if he will indeed be given the death penalty when he finally gets his time in court. This is on the way to being one of the longest prison sentences, if not most certainly the worst a rapper has received in history. Ja Rule. Ja Rule is a certified hip-hop legend, easily the biggest and the most popular so far on this list, but that didn't stop him from doing the time after doing the crime. Born as Jeffrey Bruce Atkins in a section of the Queensboro in New York City, he was raised as an only child after his father left the family. From 1999 to 2003, Ja Rule was on top of the world, with 3 chart-topping tracks, multiple hits that made the top 20 in the US Billboard Hot 100, 4 Grammy nominations, guest starring in the blockbuster movie Fast and Furious, as well as the platinum certified album that sold a combined 15 million units. During his prime, Ja Rule was untouchable, but all that came crumbling down when he started having issues with the law. In 2003, he apparently punched a man in Canada, who later sued him. He was slapped with a minor $1,200 fine after pleading guilty to assault. In 2004, officers investigated whether a feud involving Murder Inc. led to a fatal shooting outside a nightclub party hosted by him. Also in 2004, Ja Rule was arrested for driving with a suspended license and with illegal possession of marijuana. In July 2007, Ja Rule was arrested for firearm and marijuana possession charges, along with mega superstar Lil Wayne. The police pulled over the rapper's car after a concert and found a semi-automatic handgun hidden inside. Fellow rapper Lil Wayne was apprehended separately after the same concert in New York's Beacon Theater after police found him smoking marijuana near a tour bus. On December 13, 2010, Ja Rule received a 2-year prison sentence after pleading guilty to attempted possession of a weapon after the aforementioned 2007 arrest. On March 8, 2011, Ja Rule's date of incarceration for his 2-year prison sentence was set for June 8. He was initially sent to Rikers Island, then later sent to a state center in upstate New York. In July 2011, Ja Rule received an additional 28-month prison sentence for tax evasion, which would run concurrently with his firearm sentencing. Allegedly, he failed to pay taxes on more than $3 million in earnings between 2004 and 2006. He was released from state prison in New York on February 21, 2013, but was immediately taken into federal custody for the tax evasion case, for which he had less than 6 months remaining on his sentence. Ja Rule was held in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center and was set to be released on July 28, 2013. However, he was released from prison early on May 7, 2013, serving 699 days in total. Casanova. Caswell Sr., professionally known as Casanova, is a rapper born in Brooklyn, New York. In 2016, he released his first ever track titled Don't Run, and 4 years later, he got signed to Jay-Z's record label, Roc Nation. Casanova was the youngest of 10 children, born to a Jamaican father and a mother of Haitian origin in the Flatbush section of Brooklyn. Right from the get-go, Casanova had been no stranger to crime and gang life, even dropping out of school in the 8th grade. In 2006, 19-year-old Casanova got arrested on a robbery charge and was sentenced to Rikers Island, where he developed a close bond with superstar rapper A$AP Rocky, who was there for an attempted murder charge. In a 2017 interview on the Rap Radar podcast, A$AP Rocky talked about how Casanova mentored him and took him under his wing during his time on the island. Despite Casanova just being 1 year older than him, that was my man. He held me down the whole time. This nigga was definitely a real nigga, and I was the only nigga he befriended. When he got out of Rikers Island, he tried to keep it straight and stay out of trouble. He started releasing music in 2006 and collaborating with popular artists like Young M.A., Fabulous, and Chris Brown. His most popular track at the time was Don't Run. In December 2020, the New York division of the FBI and the Department of Justice announced in a press release that Brooklyn rapper Casanova was facing multiple charges. He was charged with conspiracy to commit racketeering, distributing controlled substances, and possessing a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. He was named along with 17 other alleged members of the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation by the FBI on December 1st. The 18 alleged members of the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation were hit with a myriad of charges, charges, which includes narcotics possession and distribution, firearms possession, and fraud offenses. Casanova's lawyer, James Casaros, had the following to say in an email statement to Complex about the indictment of his client. From the moment Mr. Caswell was informed of this indictment and the gravity of the charges, he had every intention of voluntarily surrendering to the authorities. He was never on the run. All he intended was peaceful surrender. He respects the judicial process and is confident that he will be exonerated. Sounds like when Casanova made the track "Don't Run," he really meant that. He admitted that he was part of a series of shootings that happened in New York and in Florida in 2018 and 2020 respectively, and was further charged with attempted murder. He also later confessed to possessing and distributing over 100 kilograms of marijuana in Westchester County, New York City. Casanova has remained in Westchester County Jail since his arrest in December 2020. If he's convicted of the top charge against him, racketeering conspiracy, Casanova could face up to life in prison. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other awesome videos on the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.